This is Christy with My Therapy Hat podcast.
And I'm Micah.
Oh, hello, Micah. How are ya?
I'm good.
All right.
I'm her son.
Oh, Lord. Do you ever get, asked about your mom being a therapist?
Not as often as I think you might think, but sometimes I do, yeah.
So what's it like having a mom as a therapist?
It's funny sometimes because I know that you over analyze everything. There are times where I feel like you're over analyzing everything I do or anything anyone is doing.
Is it over analyzing or I'm just observing? I think
Could
I'm
be that.
observing.
I tell my friends that I'm observant. I'm not an asshole. I'm observant.
Yeah, I don't think I'm an asshole. I think I'm observant, but I also listen.
Yeah.
There's a listening part of what I do, and there's a watching of behavior and body language.
I love people watching.
It's a big part of what I do.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a big part of therapy. So today, I wanted to bring in a topic that I want to start talking about things that topics that come up in conversation, come up in therapy sessions, not linked to any specific person, of course, because of confidentiality. But one of the things that I struggle with is anxiety. And so I can really connect with clients when they say, oh, I struggle with anxiety.
I struggle with it more in my adult years than I have it, my adolescent, teenage years.
Well, I think that's common though, because as we get older, we have more that we're accountable for and we're responsible for. And so one of the things is I've noticed, and this is something that was brought to my attention early on when I was in my internship, was do you ever catch yourself apologizing or over apologizing?
I used to do it a lot when I was a kid.
Like what?
Like when I'd make jokes. I'm a very sarcastic person, so when I made a lot of sarcastic jokes, I'd always over apologize for them. Like I'd say a joke and I'd be like, I'm sorry, or I didn't mean that, it's a joke, or something like that. And nowadays I just say it and people are like, damn, that was fucking rude. And I'm like, well,
sorry.
Well,
are you sorry though?
That's sarcasm.
It's kind of how you were raised.
It's kind of sarcastic there.
Well,
not necessarily a lot in my older days. I don't feel like I'm a very apologetic person now. I am when it needs to be, when I need to be, but whenever I'm not over apologizing for things, I feel like.
Well, and so that's my point that I try to make with clients is we have to really know where to apply the apology. Am I really sorry for that? Just so your example. Oh, I made a joke. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But are you really?
Yeah.
That's what and so like I was saying, early in my internship, I had someone bring this to my attention that I was apologizing for things that didn't need an apology.
Mm-hmm.
And this person asked me, are you really sorry about that? And one of the things was I was asking a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
This EHR that we put our notes and stuff on, it was very new to me. And, oh, I'm sorry. And I wasn't getting it. And she stopped me and she said, but are you really sorry that you're asking questions? And I had to think about that. And I was like, no, I'm not really sorry. I have to ask questions. If I don't ask questions, how am I going to know?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, when I was putting together some thoughts on today, was over apologizing.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, knowing when to apply that apology. That's what makes sense to me.
To delve a little into that, I play Magic on the side. And most recently we were playing Magic and I have a friend who built this insane deck. And he was enemy number 1 from the get-go. And throughout the whole game, games can run for an hour to a few hours. And for the whole hour, he was apologizing the whole time. And we kept telling him, dude, shut up. We're like, if you were sorry, you wouldn't have built the deck. Because you know what you're putting in, what cards you're putting in to make it what it is today. And so he'd play a card and he's like, guys, I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. And I'm like, if you're playing a deck to where you have to apologize the whole time, don't play the deck.
Why are you apologizing?
Why are you apologizing? If you're playing against people who know their decks are not up to the capability of yours, why would you play that deck against us and then apologize that you're playing against it? It's one of those things where it's just like he kept apologizing the whole time. And we all kept saying, I was even getting a little irritated at him. I'm like, dude, shut the hell up and just play your turn.
And that's what people come up against when they do this over apologizing. And so I had this come up in a session a week or so ago. And the person said, my friends are getting upset because I keep apologizing for this, or I apologize over and over, or I over apologize. And I asked, why do you think that is? And it's because of that. Mm-hmm. It's because you've done something. You haven't done anything intentional. You haven't done anything to hurt this person. You haven't done anything out of malice.
He didn't build the deck because he wanted to just dominate the. He built it because he thought it was gonna be fun, and he loves dragons, so the whole deck was dragons, and he was building it so that he could play a cool dragon deck. And I'm like, that's understandable, but you have to realize what everyone else is playing first. And then if you play that deck and you automatically are enemy number one off of like the first 2 turns, don't apologize the whole time. Be like, well, this is my deck. I'm gonna play it as it is, and just we'll go throughout the whole game. Don't.
Well, and that's what the problem is with over apologizing and how it leads to anxiety. Mm-hmm. Is because what happens is you're showing kind of your hand. Mm-hmm. If you're over apologizing and you're explaining it away and defending it, there's an anxiety in that I have a low self-esteem, or I have a lack of confidence. So in this situation, he may have felt like he had a lack of confidence in what he was presenting, which you guys were just playing right along with what he was presenting. There's nothing to apologize for.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, you've quit like apologizing and over explaining, I think you said. That's part of it. And it's not that I want people to not apologize. When you're sorry, apologize.
Yeah, when it's the right time, apologize. There was a time at work recently where I messed up an order, and I stayed later so that I could help them finish the order, like redo it. And that time I was like, yeah, I fucked up. I'm sorry. But like any other time, like if it's not my fault or anything else, I'm like, I'm not sorry. Like I didn't do that. I didn't mess up. So there are times where I do apologize on the behalf of just anyone else because I'm the only one who will take the accountability for it. But I'm not over apologizing for that. I'll say, yeah, I did that. I'm sorry.
Well, and like you said, take the accountability. There's where the anxiety comes in. Mm-hmm. I know I've done something. I know it was my fault. I know I didn't take accountability. Now I'm going to build an anxiety about it. Now I'm going to overthink it. I'm going to run it in my mind. I'm going to come up with all these scenarios. I would have, should have, could have. There's all these question marks. And that's what I tell people. There's your anxiety, all these question marks. Start putting a period. Mm-hmm. If I'm putting a period on it, I no longer have the anxiety, or I've managed the anxiety. So if I feel like I've done something to hurt you, hey, I'm sorry that I said XYZ because I know that it hurt your feelings. There's the apology, not, I'm asking so many questions and so I'm sorry. No, I'm asking questions because I need to know the answers.
And it feels more meaningful that way too. It's not like, oh, I'm sorry. No, you're saying it in the right opportunity, the right time, and it feels more authentic than it does if you're just saying, oh, I'm sorry. If you're saying it, oh, I'm sorry I did this for whatever reason, blah, 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 to hurt your feelings, then the other person might be like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, cool.
Well, and that's the point, is if I'm just apologizing all the time, what am I apologizing for? Everything I've ever done?
Yeah.
That I walk, that I talk, that I breathe? No, I'm not going to apologize for these things. And that's what I tell clients, or I try to help clients understand, is we need to quit defining, explaining, reinventing, reintroducing ourselves with each of these apologies. We need to quit doing this. This creates an anxiety because at some point, if someone understands you, they understand you.
Yeah.
If they're not going to understand you, what is the point in you redefining, re-explaining, re-defending yourself all the time? Are you ever going to get understood?
No.
No, you're never going to create an understanding. And that's where a lot of people, there's where that anxiety builds. Well, if I just do this, that's what I hear a lot too. If I just do this, well, if I just did this, okay, but if you just did that, what would have happened?
Yeah.
You'd be sitting here apologizing again.
Yeah, that's why when it comes to me now as an adult compared to when I was a kid, where not a lot of kids quite understood sarcasm to the level of what you do as an adult, to where now I'm an adult and if I say something super sarcastic, I would hope that you would understand that if it's really outrageous and ridiculous, I would hope that you would think it's sarcasm. Because if not, then that's also kind of part of the joke too, that you think I'm, being serious about something that's quite stupid.
And to be fair, some people don't have that level of a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Or the understanding that maybe that's not the way they were raised, because you were raised very sarcastic.
Yeah.
I will say we have a very sarcastic sense of humor, but sarcasm can also be like passive aggression.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with, that's why people paint me out, especially at work, to be an asshole, is because they think it's passive aggression. And I'm like, no, it's just a very high level of sarcasm that I don't like apologizing for anymore, because I did that from the past. I'm tired of apologizing for that. So I don't apologize for it.
Do you feel like growing up you had to apologize, like to me or to your stepdad or siblings?
Not really. I would say probably once I moved out, I started to spread my wings a little bit more. But when I was here, I don't feel like I had to apologize a lot. There wasn't really much for me to. I wasn't a bad kid.
I think that when you were growing up, now correct me if I'm wrong, there wasn't a lot of anxiety in our household. After your dad and I divorced and I got remarried, and things just kind of settled itself out, I guess.
Compared to me and Mia, she's always the one who's more anxiety induced than I am. So there's that part of it, to where I'm a more mellow head, I feel like, compared out of the two of us. So there wasn't a lot of anxiety on my end to the whole thing. I mean, even when it went down, and I don't know who it was, one or you, either you or Dad, who had asked me and Mia if we wanted to go to therapy, and Mia jumped right on that, and I was like, no, I'm fine. I was like, I just go play video games in my room, and that's my therapy. And yet I don't know, I just never had that type of anxiety to where I felt like I had to apologize all the time for the stuff that I was doing. I don't know.
Well, and I would have to say that hopefully we helped create that environment where you felt that way, because there was a time of our life before I got remarried and you had other siblings and, we've moved on. There was that time when I was very anxiety ridden, and we do know that anxiety can be learned. And so maybe your sister learned that from me a little bit.
Possibly. I don't know. I know that when it came to us, me and her, about the whole divorce, and then you meeting someone new, it was different, but it was a good change. It wasn't like and now this is me speaking on my terms and not hers, but for me, it was nice to know, just that it's like, oh, okay, there is a new horizon over there, rather than just be like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen next, and blah blah blah, and yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I wasn't really. Now it's hitting me more, especially in crowds. I'm starting to get pretty bad crowd anxiety, but that's more of just because I don't really like people. So there's that, and it's just I don't really like to. I'm not one to say hi to every person. I don't like that. I hate small talk.
Well, and so that kind of leads me to my other point, is the people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
That can create a lot of anxiety too, being that people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was going back to, like, the changes that have happened in our life and, our relationships and stuff, and you guys being younger and now growing up, there was that part of me. And like I said, your sister may have inherited anxiety from me because I definitely inherited it. And there is an anxiety
So you're
in
the
being.
problem.
I am the problem. I'm what's wrong with you guys. That's why I had to become a therapist. What was I saying? You totally threw me off. There is an anxiety in being a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that I find when I'm sitting down with people who do a lot of apologizing or, bring up, their racing thoughts and they're, trying to answer these questions that maybe there is no answer right now.
Yeah.
Is a people-pleasing behavior. I try to people please. I try to please you. I try to anticipate what you need before I'm even thinking about what I need.
Yeah.
And that was one of the very important lessons when I was going through school. And Micah, you're going to be going through school here in years to come, and you're going to learn this too. And hopefully you're already learning this. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. Mm-hmm. And when I started doing that, that was a huge shift for a lot of people, because then it became looked at as like, oh, you're being selfish.
Yeah.
I wasn't being selfish. I had just learned that before I could take care of you, your sister, me going to school, whatever else was on my plate, I had to take care of me, which meant sometimes I had to disconnect. Sometimes I had to go into the bedroom, lock the door, take a bubble bath, maybe go on a walk around and around and around the block. Who knows what I needed to do? I needed to practice some self-care so I could take care of me in order to take care of you. Now, as a therapist, we understand that. That's why we have very strict boundaries. Mm-hmm. What happens, again, is people grow up or they develop this people-pleasing. And I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, I could tell what you're feeling. You can't tell what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I'm feeling, but you can't tell what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
The way we do that is we learn to read. I learned to read body language. I learned to read facial expressions. I learned these things. These are learned behaviors. And that's what I'm saying. That's a lot of how people's anxiety develop. Mm-hmm. Here's an example. When I'm overwhelmed, and I know that this is how I am. When I'm overwhelmed, I have this look. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Where I get very stoic. I get very tunnel vision. I have a lot to do. I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I need to do it in that order. Because of that, I've had people encounter me and they stay away from me. They pull back. They think I'm mad. It's not a mad look. It's an overwhelmed, or I'm very focused. I have to get these things done. I'm in a time crunch here. I had someone come into my office one time and was like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're mad. What do you mean I'm mad? Well, I saw you walking up and down the hall and and I'm not mad. I have about 14 things I have to do in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I am apologizing because of the look that I have on my face. And I do mean that.
I'm the same exact way.
That's how that person has encountered someone being mad.
Yeah.
Is that look. Or, maybe me not making eye contact and getting right to it because I wasn't thinking of you right at that moment. I was thinking of the 14 things that I have to do in 3 minutes. But we bounce things off of our experience. Mm-hmm. We also learn to model, or we learn what's modeled. So I've learned in this person's situation, I've learned that that's the look of mad.
Yeah.
I've learned to stay away from that person. Don't go near that person because she's mad. When all it took was coming in and saying, hey, is everything, see, you kind of have a look on your face. I would have preferred that.
Yeah.
Hey, you look a little overwhelmed or angry. No, I'm not angry. I have a lot to do. There's where I now can tell you how I'm feeling instead of you saying, I think I know how you feel.
Mm-hmm. I haven't had, because I have the same exact thing to where I get into situations where I feel overwhelmed, and I'm the same way. I get this face that is a bitch face.
Yeah, it's a resting bitch face.
It's a resting bitch face, and people at work will think I'm mad at them asking me to help them with something, because I'll be doing something and I'll look up at them, and if looks could kill, they'd be dead type of thing. And they're like, oh, never mind. But they never say, like, oh, well, you looked mad. They just never talk to me about it. So it's just like, whenever people do assume that I am pissed off, sometimes I am, because I have to do 7 million other things
in 4 minutes.
In 4 minutes. And it upsets me that I have to do 7 million things in 4 minutes. But then there are other times where it's just like, most of the time where I am overwhelmed. And I am like, well, it's because I have 7 million things to do in 4 minutes that I don't want to do anything else to get other than those 7 million things in that 4 minutes to get done.
But do you see how that can build anxiety in that person that's looking at you?
Mm-hmm.
That builds an anxiety that, oh, I need to stay away from him because he's angry. Instead of overcoming that anxiety and saying, hey, you look really upset.
Yeah.
No, I'm not upset. I have 40 million things to do in 4 minutes. That's where, again, I encourage people with anxiety, ask the question. Because I don't know how you're feeling unless you tell me. I don't know what you're experiencing unless you tell me. I don't know what you've experienced unless you tell me. Because I bank my behaviors, my responses off of my experiences.
Yeah.
And that I've had to learn can create anxiety in me. Because not all of my experiences have been positive. Mm-hmm. Not all of them have created just happy butterflies all the time. Some of them created negativity and toxicity and, caused me to have anxiety. So the way that I've learned to manage that is by asking those questions. Am I really sorry right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm probably not sorry for asking a question. Do I know what you're thinking? No, I'm not going to know what you're thinking unless I ask you. And am I confident enough to address you with those things? If I'm not, then I need to sit with that and process that. Yeah. Because I have the right to ask you those questions, but how am I going to ask you?
What if someone doesn't want to ask those questions?
Then I've encouraged people to ask that question of themselves. Why don't I want to ask that question? Do I not feel confident enough? Do I not value this person enough? Do I really not want to know the answer? Because if my answer is no, then I don't need to even address it.
Yeah.
But if my answer is yes in any of those, then I need to figure out a way to address that. And it could be as simple as, hey, listen, I really have a question I need to ask you. And, I watched you walk up and down the hall today and you had this really bitch face look on your face. Are you upset? There's a way. And what a lot of people fear, there's that people pleaser, is that I'm going to upset you by asking you that question.
Yeah.
You're going to get defensive. If you get defensive because I'm asking how you're doing or what I'm observing, what does that say about you?
Yeah.
It says nothing about, it says about me that I'm concerned.
Yeah. That you're asking what's going on
But if you're going to bite my head off, whoa, lesson learned.
Yeah, lesson learned. Not ask you any questions ever again.
Then maybe I did. Maybe my assumptions to have anxiety towards you were right.
Yeah.
But that's where, again, I try to encourage people, we have to ask ourselves these questions. We have to have that running dialogue. Yeah. I need to have that dialogue in my head when I say that. What I'm saying is I need to be able to say, do I really need to ask him that question? Is it really important? Is it going to affect me today? Is my behavior toward him? Are 17 million
other things more important than asking that one person one thing?
Exactly. And if my answer to those are, yeah, I really need to know because it's bothering me that he looks frustrated or angry.
Yeah.
Then I need to go and address that. And if I can't, then again, like I said, I need to sit with it until I realize or figure out why I'm not able to address that.
Yeah. I have something similar like that at work going on right now. And I always am do I really want to go ask that person, or do I want to do all these 17 million things in 4 minutes? And I'm like, I really just want to do these 17 million things in 4 minutes and then just leave to go home. And that's what I come down to is I'm like, it's not that I don't care about the other person's feelings. It's just I'm like, I would much rather just do busy work than have to delve into what's going on with that person right now.
And again, is
world.
it more about like you saving you than that other person? Because that could be a people pleasing too.
No, I'm not a people pleaser. I'm never like, well, if I do ask that person and they do get mad at me, then I there's that point. No, I could care less if I go ask the person and they're just like, well, why are you asking me? I'm like, well, okay, I'm just going to go do these 7 million other things. Or if they're just like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I just go off and do the 7 million things anyways.
They have you really busy at work doing 7 million things in 4 minutes.
All the time, every day. Yeah. No, that's how it is I usually just, that's where it usually comes down to is if someone gives me attitude at work, I'm like, do I really want to address this or do I want to just go off and do these 7 million things? And it's usually the 7 million things that I want to go do because I'm just like.
Well, and I would have to say that that's you having a confidence in the fact that you know you can do these 7 million things and not put that person ahead of you.
Yeah, and it also is a little bit of lack of empathy towards that person as well, of just being like, I don't really care if they're mad at me or not. Or if they're not mad at me or if they're mad at anything else, I really don't care. I just want to go do these 7 million things.
Well, and that kind of comes down to, again, like, have you given them a reason to be mad at you? Because there's where a people pleaser would go, oh, you know, they're mad at me. Well, what have you done to make them mad at you? Yeah. How can they be mad at you? Why are you overthinking this? Why is the world about you? That's where the anxiety comes down to, is we center in on how it's about us.
It's probably why I'm so easily entertained by the 7 million things compared to just asking them, because I'm like, if I did upset them, I'm like, I'll just go do these 7 million things.
Well, because if that person's upset at you, I would almost think that person can come to you.
Yeah.
And there's a confidence in that. There's a confidence in that person and you knowing, hey, I didn't do anything. And that person having a confidence in coming to you and saying, hey, when you did X, Y, Z, it upset me.
Yeah.
There's a confidence in that. And I would have to appreciate that person for having that confidence and not having the anxiety of going, well, if he knew that he did A, B, and C to upset me, then he would come and apologize. I'm not going to if I didn't know I did anything.
Yeah. I'm not going to go over there and apologize to you. I'm going to have 7 million things over here in 4 minutes, dude.
But that's where, again, we create this cycle of you owe me.
Yeah.
You read my mind.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I hope you learn as you go through this becoming a therapist, putting on your therapist hat. Mm-hmm. We don't read people's minds.
Nope.
I can read your body language, and it can be completely opposite of what I'm thinking.
There's been so many times where I want to tell a customer, I can't read your mind.
I tell clients that all the time.
We'll sit there, we'll stare at the thing we're looking at, and I'm like, so they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, what do you want to do? And they're like, well, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, don't know what you want to do either, dude. I was like, you called me over here, and here we are staring at this printer.
So what do we do?
Like, so what do you want to do?
I tell clients that all the time when they're like, well, you know what I'm thinking. No, really, I don't know what you're thinking, because guess what?
I could throw a dart at a wall, and it could mean anything.
I don't know what you're thinking. You have to tell me, because that's one of the things how we build anxiety too, is I'm reading into what I think you're thinking.
Yeah.
I hear people say that. Well, I think I know. No, stop yourself. Do you know that you know?
Yeah.
Because you've heard me say that a lot too. I'm not going to go towards something. I'm not going to address something unless I know that I know that I know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to present something or try to tell you how to do something unless I know that I know that I know. And that's where we build anxiety, is that overthinking, that, well, I think I know what he's thinking. Ask what you're thinking.
Ask what you're thinking.
Ask me what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking right now is it's probably time to wrap this little shindig up.
This episode, yeah.
And this has been a good one. This has been me and my son just sitting here talking about...
I'm Micah, her son.
I'm Christy, his mom. You're super lucky to have me as a mom.
Sure.
You are. God dang it. Super lucky kid. All right.
All right.
Well, thanks, son.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
coming and having a little conversation with me. It's nice to dig into your head and put my little therapy hat on. And
to the next one.
until the next one.